Yeah, very good evening, everybody out there. Welcome back to another enlightening session of our YouTube live program. My name is Shaunak, your host, welcoming you from Asian College of Teachers. Today, we will delve into the heart of education and its transformative power. Today, we are privileged to have with us a trailblazer in the realm of early education. Joining me is the visionary founder of Small Wonders Preschool, an individual whose passion for learning and shaping young minds knows no bounds. Our guest today is Gaurav Poddar, who epitomizes the fusion of business acumen and profound dedication to education. A journey that commenced amidst the financial corridors of Citibank, and then it took an extraordinary turn when he chose to navigate the vibrant landscape of education in Kolkata. Well, Gaurav's story is a testament for his unwavering commitment to revolutionize early education, his tenure at XLRI Jamshedpur, and his attainment of the esteemed CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst designation, laid the foundation for his innovative approach towards curriculum development and business strategy. At Small Wonders Preschool, he does not merely lead, he pioneers. Guiding the hem of curriculum design and business development, Gaurav envisions a metamorphosis in the way of early education is delivered in our city. With two thriving centers in Kolkata, Small Wonders has fostered a community of over 500 children, devoted parents, and maybe more in numbers, and passionate educators. I would like to extend a warm welcome to the trailblazing behind Small Wonders Preschool, Gaurav Poddar. Gaurav, yeah, warm welcome to our YouTube live show.
Thank you so much, Shanak. I'm really overwhelmed. This is a very generous and opening statement. But yes, I'm glad to be here. Couldn't be happier to be here. Please tell me. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Gaurav, like I mean to say that viewers might not be knowing, we will slowly reveal about the what we have the Asian College of Teachers with Small Wonders. But what I would like to first ask you is that what are the general academic qualifications and certifications that are actually looked after for a preschool teaching position?
So, generally, coming into this field, what we really look forward is somebody who is really keen to enter the domain of preschool teaching should have certain certifications, like an international teaching diploma or a pre-primary teaching certification from the Montessori Training Institute. So, this allows us to understand that the teachers have a basic understanding of what early education looks like, and thereafter, once they come on board, we have our own training programs and professional training programs that go on along with the course to guide them further.
Right. Right. So when you talk about a specific qualification, I mean to say, for example, international teaching diploma, which is very relevant to Asian College of Teachers, but there are students who are coming from different organizations. So I mean to say, in the curriculum, when somebody places before you the papers in the curriculum, what exactly you see is the general coverage for a preschool teacher.
So the thing is, in this industry, by and large, what we have seen and observed is that most of the this certification is very loose. I mean, in the sense that many places do offer these certificates, but I'm not very sure. In a sense, do they even have a classroom program, or do things get covered? I mean, apart from like we have a very favorable experience from institutions like Asian College of Teachers, where we had a great experience, and with like from some colleges like JD Builder, where we hired from. So here we know that the course content would primarily definitely involve Montessori training. You would have teachers and trainers who would give on hands-on trainings in Montessori. Teachers have a very good basic understanding of child psychology, and these parameters are very important for us to even look forward before we can like look into the whole recruitment process. So these things on the course content uh, is what really drives us to understand that is this candidate good, or the certification has been in particular been of any benefit to the candidate or not when they've undergone the same.
Absolutely. So I would just like to introduce to the viewers who are watching today's show is that Gaurav sir is actually the owner of Small Wonders Preschool, and the basic idea of hosting this YouTube live is that those who are looking for a preschool teaching job or a career, this is the best opportunity where you can learn from him. And if you have any questions regarding that, I think this is the best time that you can ask him, because he's the man from the HR and he's taking a lot of interviews. So often and on, Gaurav, we have seen that the students come up and ask that is B.Ed required or a bachelor's of education, whether it is required. So what would be your take in this?
B.Ed for a preschool teacher is not very relevant per se, because Bachelor of Education focuses more on primary
Your
and
Kanta is already asking a question right on your screen. Is B.Ed required? Right. Yeah.
no, B.Ed is not a mandatory requirement for us, because B.Ed focuses more on the higher education, like majorly primary and secondary level of education. So we have to here understand that pre-primary or early childhood education is a very niche and a specialized area where teachers have to understand the nuance of how teaching is difficult or different as compared to what a primary or a secondary education is. That's why uh, the courses that particularly focuses only on pre-primary teaching or focuses on international teaching techniques are far more relevant, because they give you a fair understanding of how a child at 2 years would be thinking and why they would be behaving in a certain manner. Whereas a B.Ed is very optimum, or a very good application if you're applying for a role in a high school. So there it becomes very
Right.
relevant. So that's where the differentiating factor is.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So, B.Ed won't be required, but if do people have it, etc. So, the next question, Gaurav, I want to ask that as you understand that Asian College of Teachers have got both experienced candidates as well as absolute fresh graduate. So, I mean to say, with Small Wonders, as well as you being a recruiter, what would be, I mean to say, how would you take? Is that prior experience is an absolute mandate? If a person comes to you without any experience, will you reject, or what are the criteria that you would consider being an absolute fresher from a graduation?
Correct. See, honestly, we have been open to both the avenues. We've seen pros and cons with candidates with experience as well as somebody who's coming fresh into the field. Just to elaborate a bit further and to give you an example, like for example, somebody's coming in fresh, just who's done the training. We feel that they are they're like a blank slate, so it's very easy for us to
Mhm.
kind of guide them on how the whole system functions. For us,
Right.
what is there are two things that we majorly look is that candidate should have the right attitude. So if the attitude is there, it's very easily moldable for us to kind of get them into a feeling. So the experience does not matter. Maybe with 2 to 3 months of close observed classes with them, they get a hang of what needs to be done in the class. At the same time,
Right.
if somebody comes with a prior experience, that also allows us to kind of get them up and moving faster, because they have worked with kids, they have a basic understanding of how a class looks like. At the same time, however, we also want such candidates to be slightly flexible and open minded with regards to adapting new things, because here we do things slightly differently. So we would want teachers to not have a very strict bent of mind when they come in here, because we will guide them and we'll make them, or we'll train them, but they just need to be open to the ways of learning. Yes.
Okay, so fine. So in that case, Gaurav, if I may take it correctly, that means those people who are coming absolute as a fresh graduate, they do have the qualities of getting adapted, willing to do work and train. That means there is a good amount of chance of getting absorbed.
Fairly. We really like candidates who come in with a very fresh set of mind, and we feel that they have the highest levels of energy, because that's the first time they start working. So there's to go out and perform and to prove themselves. So that's like one of the biggest assets that you can have well as a preschool teacher to work with. So freshers are more than welcome.
Right. Now, if I may ask you that, say, for example, we understand what are the virtues and qualities you have elaborated in a nice manner. Now, what are the things I would say, I wouldn't say don'ts, but what are the, I would say, the difficulties that a candidate faces in order to clear an interview or in order to secure a job into preschool? I mean, so what are the incumbents? What are the difficulties that a student faces, and what could be the best way out for that?
Okay. So, for us, what's very important is that we have to, since we're dealing with kids, and we have to have the most important factor that we look into is very clear communication skills. So that becomes a very
Okay.
important factor for us to consider when we're looking at candidates. And so any aspiring teacher should primarily focus on working on that, because it's not only important to have great communication skills to interact with the kids, but you also need to interact with a very big team here in Small Wonders. So for us,
Mhm.
having transparent, honest, clear communication allows the teacher to kind of express themselves and also to make the child learn in the same manner.
Right.
Difficulties or challenges, it's about clarity of what you have learned. So if you've done a course at like in Asian College of Teachers, the bare minimum expectation would be that whatever has been the course content, you're absolutely clear with what you have been taught there. So that shows us
Okay.
that how serious or how sincere you are with regards to what needs to be done. And
Mhm.
thereafter, it depends a lot in terms of your personality. If you are really looking, are you the one who can work in a big team? Are you hardworking? So these are some kind of soft traits that we look into or we see during our teaching practices here. So that gives us an idea whether this candidate can work, like be a good, possibly a great candidate as a preschool teacher. So these are the things that we look into. I'll tell you the
Okay.
grounding philosophy at Small Wonders has always been that any candidate who applies, we look at two core things. One is skill set, and second is the attitude. So skill sets get defined majorly by the courses that you have done and how you've implemented, maybe in your experience in the past schools or any place you have worked in. So those are still places that we can work with. So even if there is something that we feel that maybe okay, conceptual clarity, maybe we can train them better, so you may still be acceptable. But if the attitude to kind of really work hard in a team, or so for example to work with a lot of empathy with the kids is not there, then you don't make the cut. So for us, the softer part is more important than the hard skills.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think so. I mean to say those technical skills which are required, what you're telling, that you can build it up, but the
Correct.
empathy, the patience, the adaptability factors, I think that is true for any preschool or any kind of a job. Yeah, thank you. So, we have a good question coming up from Kanta Keshwani. She is asking what kind of hard and soft skills are required. I think you have already, answered to that, that you're looking more on the softer part than on the harder part.
Correct.
Right.
So I'll tell you on the
So,
harder part also, if just to elaborate a bit further for her guidance. So for Kantasi, in the hearts, what we mean by core skills is uh, you have to understand how a child passes through a preschool education. So first, when they come in, they're not even
mhm,
talking. So we are focusing on the speech of the child. So a lot of aspiring teachers need to understand that how the speech development happens. What are the factors that work towards it? What does not work toward it? Then the parents would want them to adapt phonics to understand how numbers work. So apart from the Montessori techniques, if you know about how phonics is used to impart language as a skill, that allows you to be far more versatile in your role here. And then gradually, as you grow up, you will have to look at early education from a very holistic aspect. So you cannot be very myopic in your view on how you would want to, what are the skills that you want to learn. So you would need to know about how do we work on their grip, how do we work on their tantrums, what skills are required for them to even appear for high school interactions. So the thing is that the palette is far large, and teachers, the world, everything is available to you. So there's a lot of readings that you can do, have an understanding. I would say for inclusive education, we would need to look at children who would need special needs. Like some would need more attention, somebody might be facing a lot of challenges in learning. So in hard skills, the more background reading you have on each of these topics will enable you to be coming across with more, what I say is more comprehensive knowledge rather than just kind of focusing on one reading or one topic. So this is what is required in terms of your knowledge base.
okay, yeah, thank you. So that means if I want to categorize basically what are the skills that are required, first one you would take would be the empathy,
Correct. I think
Yeah, also the phonetics part, and then the soft skills part, which you talk that these things will be required. Okay,
correct.
fine. So now, say for example, if somebody is an absolute fresh graduate who is coming to that, as an HR or somebody who is running the preschool, do you think that any kind of a workshop, I mean, to say, apart from the usual, I would say, training, any kind of a workshop or etc., do you expect them to have attended and come? I mean to say, uh, I know that if they would have known how a preschool works, that would have been better. But because they are fresh graduates, it's not possible for them. But what would you advise that in terms of how a preschool is working? What are the units that it is better that they should know before coming for the interview?
Okay. See, in a sense, it's important for them to kind of un- uh, understand that what age group are they targeting really to teach. So from that perspective, they need to backtrack and question that with the dealing with these kind of this age group of kids, what are the challenges that I'm going to face? What are the kind of questions the parents are going to ask me? So those workshops wherein you have a fair understanding of like niche topics, like for example screen time. So if you understand what are the consequences of screen time for an early toddler, which in like an early age toddler where it is, we've seen it does result in a lot of issues like maybe speech delays, or even there's a concept of virtual autism when there is too much of screen time. So even attending a workshop on this gives you a lot of insight on how do you manage those kids before even coming to a preschool setting. Then like talking to a lot of people who are your batch alumni or seniors who have been to preschools to understand how a day looks like, so it gives you a fair understanding of what is expected from you. So once you have knowledge of these, and then you come in for an interaction, then you look like somebody who knows about what they're getting into, and it's not like you have no fair idea of what you're going to face in here. So these workshops, these practical things are far more relevant for you to get a understanding, and also makes you more confident when you come for an interaction.
Absolutely. And I think that this is the formative years. So for a teacher, it becomes extremely crucial and sensitive that how you're basically, helping a sapling to go into a tree or a plant. So those things would be considered. Now, so from there, what my question comes to you is that how crucial would be a candidate's understanding of child development theories? I'm going to say, do he or she has to know the child development theories and methodologies in order to get in a job as a preschool teacher?
I think it's very important for them to have a basic understanding of the child learning methodologies. It gives you a fair understanding and insight of so see, these theories or these methodologies have been published out of research and by people who have been working in this field for a fairly long period of time. And if you see, the way the kids learn is not something which will, I mean, fundamentally change over years as well. So that's why we have Montessori techniques that's been originated close to now about 70-80 years back is far more in vogue even now, and it's so much relevant. So that is how the more understanding you have of different philosophies, it makes your work easier and you are able to address deviations. I mean, I'll just give you an example. So when you come to a preschool, you will observe that many kids are not following what's an expected pattern of development. So there'll be
Right.
deviations. There'll be kids who will be very active in class. There'll be kids who will not be able to focus, or there'll be kids who will be, in fact, maybe developing faster than the others. So once you have a basic reading or idea of how the learning methodologies happen, you'll be able to connect the dots better. And then when you do speak to the parents, you come across as somebody who has a fair knowledge of what you're talking about. So that's why the basic reading is always very helpful.
Right. Thank you for that. So I will just like to remind those who are joining in late, we are in conversation with the preschool founder, entrepreneur, and a visionary, Gaurav Poddar, working with Small Wonders, and we are talking to him in order to learn a lot regarding HR issues and how a preschool works. I mean to say, so Gaurav, in that case, I mean, when we are coming in terms of teaching certificates, etc., you will see, even I get this type of questions that a teaching license, do you have a license to become a teacher? I mean to say, whether it is in India and abroad. Now, have you faced this kind of a query, and what would be your take? I mean to say, what is teaching license, and how a preschool teacher, do they ask for any other school, do they ask that you are a licensed teacher, do you have the license to teach?
So early education is primarily very out of the ambit of government's regulatory bodies. So from that perspective, predefined, there is no licensing requirement like there is in UK or in Australia. So we have a lot of our teachers who go out to like maybe for further studies or to even like take up roles. And we have teachers who've gone to UK, who've gone to Australia, who've gone to even New Zealand. And these teachers, they would always require a license there. So for that, like forms from your previous employer becomes very relevant. So those
Okay.
things are more of a mandate abroad. India particularly, we do not have a mandate. However, your certifications are very much valid and important for any good school to consider your application. And to show your keen interest, your preschool teaching certifications become very relevant.
Okay, fine. Now, one thing which comes up, I have seen in Asian College of Teachers and others also, that they do make a lot of art and craft. I mean to say, colors, designs, etc. Now,
Correct.
I mean to say that is obviously in Asian College curriculum. Plus, when they go there to teach at your place, any other, that is required. Now, in terms of creativity, how would you term that? I mean to say, would you consider as a creativity? It is, I mean to say, is it, does it induce an out of the box thinking, and how we should, or rather the students should come prepared in order to show their creativity? I'm not saying the creativity that is actually done in the course, and you have those chart papers and they show you. What would be the kind of creativity which is actually shown to young kids?
See, this is one area that we really focus on. We really feel that apart from the conventional ways of teaching, you have to get down to the child's level to kind of communicate an idea. And more importantly, you have to understand that a child is going to be a product of its immediate surrounding. So, for example, if we have kids in Calcutta, we would have to stress on the relevance maybe of a Durga Puja, and at the same time, kind of convey it beautifully by the means of art and craft, or for that matter, that is how the culture is propagated to the child. So now coming to the, so here in Small Wonders we have a lot of activities that are planned with a lot of creative interest from the teachers, and it's only our in-house teachers who plan elaborate setups and would plan activities for the kids. So when the teachers are coming in here, they would have to understand a very basic philosophy of Montessori, Maria Montessori, that a child learns first through the concrete and then it goes on to the abstract. So the meaning is that they would love to learn from things that they can touch, feel, see, observe, and
Right.
then on to something on the blackboard or the whiteboard. So from those aspects, the teacher would have to think on how they can express simple ideas in ways which is far more concrete to the child, and then gradually move on to abstract topics. And that is how you express, and the best way you can do it is the way you can be as creative as possible. So you will have to be very open in your thought process from that perspective.
Right. So in at Small Wonders, I mean to say, do you also provide any kind of a training when you intake these to the candidates? I mean to say, as far as the curriculum and the creativity part is concerned.
So we have an onboarding program where we kind of guide you for the first couple of months on how the whole institution functions, how the curriculum is planned. So when our curriculum is planned and you have curriculum write-ups and readings where you have an understanding that if you're doing a big theme or a new theme is coming up, so you have background readings on that. At the same time, you are given detailed description of how an activity is to be prepared and to be planned. A lot of handholding is done by the team leaders to keep you
Okay.
guided how to go about it from the team leaders. And in creative and other areas also, we keep on doing some professional trainings. We have trainers who also come in as part, so give you a refresher kind of a brief on how things can be done in a more practical manner. So for example, if you're going to do jolly phonics, we have a trainer who comes down from Indore and does a one-day workshop for
Okay.
all our teachers, and they kind of gives you a lot of innovative ideas that you can maybe implement in your class. So that's how we keep on what do you say, the creative thoughts flowing.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so we are coming to the end of today's session, and before I want to end, I would like to ask you one more question. Now, in a
Sure.
place like Calcutta, or I mean to say, you are already venturing towards other parts of Calcutta where you're recruiting. I think there is a multicultural crowd that you get, I mean to say the children who comes from different types of a culture. So in that case, I mean to say the cultural sensitivity and including the notions of other culture into the course curriculum, do you face any challenges, or how do you think this is quite important to develop?
I think having that tolerance and cultural sensitivity is the most important part of how an international education should happen. And
Right.
we are blessed that way with a lot of parents who are coming from very different domains, different culture, religion, geographical boundaries, but at the same time, they are far more progressive. So we would love to celebrate every festival here in Small Wonders, and I would actually want to enlarge this topic of inclusivity going beyond these differences. Even if we have kids who need special help, we would have parents who would understand and would involve the same into the whole curriculum here and in the same premises here. So from those perspective, we feel that if we don't do it as educators, there's no other way the child would really want to understand that there is no difference per se, and they would need to imbibe and absorb every slight difference. And we do it through our curriculum itself. So we will do an Halloween week as well. We
Okay.
love to celebrate Baisakhi. We love to celebrate Eid and Diwali. So there's no difference when it comes to that. And our educators also come from very different backgrounds. But at the same time, when we are in the workplace, nobody feels a difference, and we work as a very strong team together. I mean, we are it's like 70 educators here in Small Wonders now, and they really, I would say, have a very diverse background, and I think they define how education should be. So we are very happy that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would like to tell the viewers that Small Wonders has been, I mean to say, we are quite old, isn't it? We are almost how many? 4 or 5 years we are working together.
From the time we started, yes, so we have been like working very closely together.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are already centers at Salt Lake. There's already a center at Hungerford Street, and Gaurav is also opening up a center at New Alipur. And I think we talked about intaking around how many 120 teachers by April 2024. That was the plan.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are working on that kind of a thing. And how was your experience, Gaurav, with Asian College of Teachers?
I tell you, it's been phenomenal. Honestly, I think I'll tell you a very subtle point why we really appreciate teachers coming from ACT or ACT. Uh, what happens, no, the teachers we've seen coming from ACT, they have a very strong sense of respect for what they have learned. That comes because the educators are so hands-on. And when maybe the educators or you all, when you translate that this is the place where you can work next, like Small Wonders, we see that same respect gets transferred to the entire team here from day one itself. They really look forward to work. And when we've seen anyone, we get candidate applications from quite a few institutes, but ACT really stands out therein because we know if somebody is coming from ACT, the basics are very well covered. In fact, teachers have that curiosity to learn more. I mean, predominantly everyone is very hardworking, very respectful to their comrades or their team members here. So I mean, I personally suggest a lot of teachers that if you want to really come to this field, please just go to ACT and do their courses. You will have a fair chance of getting in here once you are there.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for this acknowledgement. Last question, but little bit, I would say, which is a very common question from most of the students. They ask me when I sit for the training period for placement. When you look into a resume, I mean to say, okay, Kanta has written, thank you so much, ACT family, for bringing this informative session with Gaurav sir. Thanks, Gaurav sir. More sessions with you are awaited.
Sure,
Yeah.
Hima.
My last question would be, when you look into a resume, I mean to say this resume comes right in front of you, whatever, I mean to say, let us don't consider experience or not experience. What is the best impression? I mean to say, as an HR, what are the things that you look into a resume that should have, and what are the parameters that should not have? Just as a glance, if you can tell us.
See, honestly, the things that we really want them to have is some certification, and wherein they that really shows that this is not a by chance of an interaction that we are having with them, but they have really planned it for themselves, where they have done certifications, and that shows that they have worked hard towards it. So even doing a certificate for 3 to 6 months shows that you have taken the pain to at least enroll yourself, go and done that course, and got that certificate. So that alignment is very important for us before we start off. Along with that, if you worked in teams before, that also gives us an interest that you have been somebody who's kind of really worked with a bigger team, so it's easier for you to adapt here in Small Wonders. Then for us, it also becomes very important to see that whether these the teacher have they been educating in some other formal like informal manner, like even if you've been doing private tuitions in some format, that allows us to at least ensure that you have been close to education all throughout. And if you were
Mhm.
specifically looking at things that we don't want in an interaction, is not somebody who's been jumping jobs very often. So we see CVs that every 3 4 months 5 months somebody's
Yeah,
been shifting roles. So once or twice it happens, it's great, but if it's like 7 times on your CV, that might be that maybe the problem is not with all the
absolutely.
institutions that you worked, and maybe you need to introspect better. So then for us, it's very important that we have candidates who are very reliable and can work long term, because we put in a lot of energy in your training and development here. So we need people who are kind of here for the longer run. At least 3 to 4 years is what we look for, an average tenure for every individual till the time, because we have girls who are working in, so they will have family planning and etc. But at least
Right.
stability of 2 to 3 4 years here. One more thing, I would want to take this platform and guide all the people who are watching or would watch it is there's a lot of myths around the compensation here in preschools, which I thought Shanak
Yes,
I'll discuss here.
absolutely.
So it's very important for you all to understand that things are changing here. A lot of teachers or aspiring candidates do not want to enter this field thinking that the pay scales is pretty low as compared to what other roles have to offer. To give you a very brief example or an understanding, we have teachers who have maybe started at 10,000 a month and now scaled up to 35, 40,000 a month in a very short span of 2 to 3 years. So we have leaders who are developing here, and compensation is only going to be a function of your skill set and your experience that you bring to the institution. So even a preschool teacher, I would want all of you to kind of think it as a domain that if you perform well, there'll be institutions that are really wanting to go out and reward people who have those skill sets. So don't take few examples and be myopic about this field, but if you really
Absolutely.
have it and you enjoy working with kids, I think there is no other better profession than
Absolutely.
this.
Just to add to what Gaurav told, that as far as my knowledge goes, Small Wonders is one of the best paymasters as far as Calcutta part is concerned. I don't want to mention it over this live YouTube, but as far as the other organization concerned, obviously I won't take the name. This is one of the best organization, and we have actually seen from Asian College of Teachers, people joining at 10, 12, and now they are actually taking care of an entire unit heading over 40, 50, students and the parents, counseling, etc., all those things. Last question is that what you really don't want to see in the resume. I understand grammatical errors, etc., would be something, but overall, if I take the arrangements, I mean to say how a CV is presented to you, what are the factors that you would negate? I mean to say you don't want to see.
The CV needs to be very crisp. Ideally, a one pager is how you need to present it. Whatever
Mhm.
you have done in your entire life should come in one pager. You should preferably have a picture there. You should have all your basic details in place, and it should be in a chronological manner. You should highlight and prioritize all your work experience on top. You should have your graduation details, your schooling details in place. If you have references for somebody, please do mention it. It needs to be very very well formatted. So please focus on your resume, because on an average we get about 10 resumes every day, and we do a very strict filtration process, and a lot of these are rejected just by the look and feel of how serious the candidate has been. You have to understand, even any presentation that you do, like even the CV is the first thing that we are going to make an opinion about somebody. I
Right,
mean, obviously we don't
right.
judge the book by its cover, but it shows how serious you are about the role and how well you have
Absolutely.
presented yourself.
Absolutely.
So that becomes a like the main most important focus. So please take your CVs very seriously and prepare them very very well.
Today in the training webinar, somebody was asking this question that, as you understand, women, they undergo a lot of changes, get married, family planning. So there is a gap. I mean to say 1, 2, or 3 years gap. So I think if you mention them chronologically, the gap is already mentioned. And I suggested them that when you speak, you tell them the truth, that this was the reason. And any intelligent or empathetic employer would understand that there is a gap. What would be your take? What would you do? Shall we maintain those gaps, and then how to talk about that?
Be absolutely transparent and straightforward with whatever has happened. And honestly, there is no hiding thing, or there's nothing that you need to hide about taking a gap year. If you're planning a family, if you got married, you need a couple of months break. And honestly, this is something that we encourage as well. We have a lot of teachers who would, after started working or go in for a marriage, we encourage that, and we give them generous breaks of 3 to 4 months to come back, settle down first with the family, and then come back. There are so
That's so
many teachers
nice of
who
you.
are, yeah, there are many teachers who are on a maternity leave right now, and there have been about, I think, 4 or 5 examples who have taken maternity leave and come back, and they have joined us back again. So the thing is that, uh, in the right mind, we would really want you to first settle with family, have your kids and everything, and then at the same time give you the opportunity to always come back. And I'm sure any other person in this industry would be practical enough to understand it. So there is nothing to hide. Be very confident about what you have done and just go that and present it. There's nothing to worry per se. And it could be personal reason as well. It does not always needs to be a marriage or like a child or something like that. And I always have a personal thing to believe that if people come back after a break, I feel they're far more wanting to prove themselves, and so they are always a good hire. I just think contrarian to what others think, so I I'm okay
That
with
is
that.
why you make a lot of wonders, and that is why the name Small Wonders.
Thank you so much.
So thank you, Gaurav, for joining with us, and we are sure that we will be taking our journey with Asian College of Teachers and Small Wonders in the coming years, and we are working on that, strengthening a lot and lot. Any last message that you want to deliver to the young aspirants or those who are now looking for a job or would be looking for a job into preschool? Any message?
I would just say that this is going to be a beautiful journey. It's once you've chosen this noble profession, there's nothing that can keep you back. You just have to keep on upgrading yourself. And you started with Asian College of Teachers. You've already done few steps right correctly. So the thing is now only up, 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 and up ahead for you.
Thank you. So you were watching Gaurav Poddar, entrepreneur visionary of Small Wonders, and we have learned a lot. So thank you, Gaurav, for this enlightening session, enriching session. And from Asian College of Teachers, I would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. And let those association takes a new year and let it bloom into something great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity, for having me here with you all. Wish you and your entire team a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year, and all the people who are watching. So, wish you all the best. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much. So you are watching this live YouTube live, and Asian College of Teachers wishes you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to the viewers, and we will be again back with this type of an enlightening session. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.